And sit down.
Welcome to Stew in the Nut, an online radio show and podcast focused on national security, policy, politics, and selfless service. We're here to give you an honest opinion, a different perspective, and hopefully a few laughs. We do this by not only interviewing guests, but also sharing our own perspectives and asking you, the listener, to interact with us on the show chat room, via our Facebook page, and on Twitter. We would like to thank those who make this show possible and allow us to bring it to you. Our show sponsors, like Enlisted 9 Fight Company, Veteran Outdoors, Warrior Media Solutions, and BooHammer.com. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode 156 in the house, coming to you tonight here on this February 28th, the last day of February. No 29 tomorrow, Toby. This is it.
No 29.
Nope.
Yeah. Welcome to the end of February.
Welcome to the
February.
end of February 2019. This is the only last day of February 2019 you're ever going to have. It's a special day. Sorry? Go ahead.
Let's make it a special one.
That it will be. But, yeah. So, boy, we got a big one. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Toby, great to have you back, brother. We missed you. Missed talking to you for a couple weeks. We were both off a couple weeks ago. And then last week, Miss Wendy filled in. Did an awesome job. But good to have you back, man. I miss my brother from another mother. How you been?
Yeah, it feels like I've been gone.
Forever?
Yeah, it feels... Yeah. Yeah, no, like I'm getting a little bit of choppiness, so I'm trying to...
Are you?
See if it's on my end or not. Oh. Just a wee bit. Oh. Yeah. But I'm working it out. It feels like I've been gone forever, but I'm happy to be back, and I'm glad that we were able to have, Wendy fill in for me yesterday. I thought that was like pretty awesome of her. She's one of my favorite ladies, one of my favorite humans in the world.
Saucy. She's saucy. I like that.
She is saucy.
Yep.
But her and a special group of ladies, Sherry Kirk and that posse right there. They treated my boys and I right when we were overseas, and I will never ever forget that. Just because they were just so generous, so gracious, so loving.
Yeah, they were. They had their own little they weren't part of any bigger organization.
And then
they did their
through
own
my
thing.
transition.
Sorry about that. I stepped on top of you. My bad. They're
freelance, man. Freelance.
Yeah. They were. and supported a lot of us after we got back too. I mean, whether
yeah, no, good times. It's good to be back.
Uh-oh. Toby froze up on me. I may have lost him. Oh, maybe he's back. Did the Skype autocorrect itself? You there, Toby?
I'm getting crazy chop.
Yeah, I got you. I got frozen video on you. But are you on the new laptop? Are you on the new laptop? Toby, can you hear me? You can't hear me? Well, hopefully everybody else can hear me. Yeah, Charlie, it's okay to drive and listen. Absolutely. I mean, you can drive and watch you want, but not recommended. Okay. We are going to do a little, we're going to deal with some stuff here. Let me take that off there. Okay. So let me try to reconnect with Toby here. I'm going to try to try to multitask, and talk to you guys at the same time. But, okay. Hey, thanks, Dale, for letting me know you hear me. I see a lot of people in the chat. And thank you guys for tuning in. I said toning in. For tuning in and being patient with us. We haven't had any IT issues for a while. But Toby is maybe working on a new laptop. Not new, but new to him. That we were working on earlier. So it may have causing some issues. Anyways, well, thank you everybody for joining us again. Episode 156 here on February 28th, the last day of February. Big thanks to Enlisted 9 Fight Company, our main sponsor. Oh wait, no, he is. He's coming back in. Let me. All right, let me see what's going on here. I'm coming back in. Toby, are you there? All right, can you hear me?
Hey,
are you on?
How are you?
Are you on the Mac now, or are you on the other laptop?
We're on the Mac now.
Yeah, how's it going for you now? Probably a lot better.
Yeah, a lot better, don't you know?
Yeah.
How are you now?
I'm good, and you?
All right. Well, you know,
that you're gonna go tarps off on that Windows machine there.
Oh, the tarps are coming off on that machine there. It's a big Texas S10 there, buddy.
There we go. I'm bringing Toby back. And for those who don't know, me and Toby are using lines from the infamous award-winning, should be the best rated, the best show ever in the whole planet, Letterkenny. If you don't know what that is, Google it, YouTube it, get it on Hulu. You will never laugh so hard. Anyways, we're gonna make some kind of Letterkenny references all the time. So, anyways, Toby, glad to have you back. You look better, you sound better because you're on a Mac.
Woo! All right, there you have it.
All right.
You know, I didn't trust that technology.
That Papa Oscar Sierra.
Yeah, no. So I got to tell you, you're drinking the Moosehead of American beers right there. Yuengling, the oldest oldest American lager brewery.
That's right.
Moosehead being the oldest North American brewery. So, like, shout out to the Yuenglings and the Moosehead drinkers of the world.
Made down in Pennsylvania, eh?
I'm drinking this local beer called Where's Your Flannel?
Yours is on. I see it.
Yeah, you know why? Because like as Tom Mead saying in the chat room there, like it's freezing here in the CTX. But
let me check the weather. Your weather brought to you by Yuengling. Austin right now, brisk 43 degrees. Buffalo, a brisker 19 degrees. So don't want to hear it.
Yeah, no, like if you were looking for sympathy, you're not going to find it.
Not in Buffalo, not in Below at all.
No.
Not gonna...
But no, let's recap the last 5 minutes. It's good to be back. Sorry that I've been gone for a couple of weeks, but you know it's that time of year is the hunting season when for deer or the antlered animals was running out. Veteran Outdoors, that's right. As we were color coordinated to our shirts today, we were out doing a lot of good things, and then I had to take a couple days to do actual work, and then we are right back at it, living hard, living large.
That's it.
So with that said, let's talk about all the things that we have missed in the past couple weeks.
Well, you only got to look back about 24 hours.
Man, like
You want to? What do you want? I mean, we can go back more than 24 hours. We can talk about some dude named Smollett who ain't even talked about anymore.
yeah,
We can talk about.
let's get after that just for a hot
Hold
second.
on, we can hit on. I want to bring up a couple topics and then you pick through and we'll walk through because I've been missing it. We can talk about everyone freaking out over Lady Gaga at the Oscars, which I guess was a show that was on. We can talk about Cohen. We can talk about this little thing going on in Vietnam with the president and a ruthless dictator having talks. We can talk about everyone throwing their hat in the ring for 2020. Hillary Clinton is now advising them, which I'm not really sure. I would want the losing team advising me how to be a winner, and that's about as far back as I can think right now. Because it's nonstop. So I mentioned Cohen, so we're gonna talk about that. So I'll let you run with it, brother. You've been gone.
All right. Yeah. So first and foremost, I got to give a shout out to my cousin Danny, who works up in the Arctic Circle on the Canadian side, and he likes to text me and ask me like great Canadian perspective questions about the status of America, and he asked me about OAC, and I was like, OAC, you mean like unapproved credit? And he was like, no. He started laughing. He's like, no, I think they've changed it to AOC, where you get it for free, and I was like, shout out to my man for coming up with a good joke.
Yeah, that was good.
Shout out for my man for coming up with a good joke. But no, so lots of funny things have happened. When I say funny, I mean irony is afoot at all levels. And so I'm going to start with the old great American hoax. Like back in the day when I was a kid, the people that I looked up to, a lot of the people I looked up to, and especially the intellectual minds that I looked up to, always talked about, one of the greatest accomplishments you could have is writing the great American novel. And, a lot of people, aspired to do that, to be part of that writing process. As everyone, probably has figured out by now, I'm a little bit of a fan of literature. I enjoy reading. The writings of fellow veterans, especially. I love seeing and reading the accomplishments of those that have gone before us, and I feel like nowadays that dream has changed. The great American novel has now become the great American hoax. And when you look at like all the different things that go viral and capture everyone's attention, they all tend to come out being hoaxes. And recently, it's just more so than not. And sadly, I learned as a small kid to never cry wolf. You remember that story about the young shepherd boy up in the mountains, got lonely, wanted to have some attention, so he, yelled wolf, and people came. And then, he did it again because he enjoyed the attention that he got. And then a wolf did come and he yelled it. And sadly, no one because he blew it. You blew it, son. And, that's the sadness that's happening. That now we have these crimes allegedly happening.
Allegedly
happening, and be it an ostrich.
They have nothing to do with an ostrich. We don't think.
Say it has to do with an ostrich.
Not even allegedly. A sick one. Not even a sick one.
Not even a sick one. But people are ruining it, because they're coming up with these things and the common sense that's behind it. Like, okay, the smell test, and I remember Jim Henson immediately answered when someone said, or Jesse Smollett said, they were like yelling, "This is MAGA country," or whatever. He's like, no one in Chicago's brave enough to roll around, 1 in the cold and 2 in a hat.
And 3 at 2 in the morning.
yelling, "This is MAGA country." Like, it didn't pass a smell test to start, and like, it didn't take long for that to unravel. It didn't take long, and then the irony of, you got guys like Charles Barkley, making fun of it, which I think is awesome. A guy that Shaquille O'Neal and Charles Barkley that have like what a wonderful platform, and you have to mock this, and like, and it's got nothing to do with race. And I'm not mocking it, and there's going to be some people out there going, oh, like, you got this white guy, making fun of a black guy that, has, is going through a struggle.
No,
No, it's got
making fun of an
nothing to do with
idiot.
it at all.
Making fun of an idiot liar.
I'm making fun of an idiot.
Yeah.
And I loved how,
No matter
like,
what color he is.
Charles Barkley got after it. I love how him and Shaquille O'Neal like had a live television joke fest that even the network were trying to cut away from because they were having too much fun making fun of the dude.
And when no one
Like,
knew how to deal with it.
who
They were like, oh my God, it's so NPC. Like, it was like people.
But it's like he wrote a check.
He even ripped on Liam Neeson.
like the
He
guy-
even ripped on Liam Neeson,
Right.
which was great.
Yeah, like, here's a guy that is on a television show about conducting criminal activity while trying to be in the music industry, right? The shady lines of like industry and how to thread those. Like, his character wouldn't have been that stupid. So like, why is like, did he not like learn anything? No, like, when was the last time you wrote a check?
Me?
Yeah. When
Yeah.
was the last time you wrote a check?
Probably to my church, like on a weekly basis. That's about the only checks I write.
Right.
I don't write
Right.
checks. It's a take credit card. I just credit card.
Yeah. You use a card,
Yeah.
Apple Pay, whatever.
But you know what? But if I
format
want to pay something that's on the down low, something that's a little, maybe not on the up and up,
cash,
cash all day, right?
cash.
Yeah. You don't leave. I mean, hoods and criminals, they use revolvers because they don't like their casings to go flying everywhere. They use revolvers so they can't be found, right?
No, like,
You don't write a personal check.
like, and then like
Wendy and I talked about this last week. You find
Yeah.
a way to be more disconnected than up in pictures on their Instagram of them in your apartment helping you working out at the gym, and also being on the same show with you, like being at the same job place with you. You find like someone in another state that can't be traced back to you, right? You don't do that kind of stuff. I mean, even people that put out contracts for hire for loved ones go out and they usually get caught because they're out there trying to find someone they don't know to knock off a loved one, but sorry, I didn't mean to step on you. Can you hear me?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, like, what's even worse than writing the check is accepting it. Like,
Signing
if
it, depositing
yeah,
it.
No, like if someone hands me a check, like, I immediately get a red flag. I'm like, like, you don't got Venmo? You don't got PayPal?
You can't PayPal me? I'll give you my PayPal address. Yeah.
I'm like, like, I'm gonna need to see your driver's license.
I got a Square device. I can plug a Square device into my phone and just swipe credit card. Just like
Yeah, no, like, so there's that.
You missed a lot, dude. You missed
like,
the phone last week.
I'm glad there was time to get caught up on that. But one of the things I've actually been kind of interested in following that's kind of under the radar, we're seeing it a little bit. 4 Americans got arrested in Haiti that were heavily armed. And it's a really interesting story.
Yep.
Because it's like, it's got shenanigans written all over it.
I tell you, when I first saw it, I really didn't want to see the names or pictures right away. I was scared that it may be someone I knew or had a connection with. Like 4 dudes in Haiti with lots of guns. I'm like, I know so many people that could possibly be,
You're like, sometimes the circles get really small. And am I going to be implicated in any way in this?
I was like, I want to see. I wonder where they're at in my chat history, my text history with this. With if it's a name I recognize. Luckily I looked. I'm like, nope, don't know any of them. Thank goodness. But yeah, it's an interesting story. So once you expand it, I don't think a lot of our listeners or viewers probably know about that because it really is not getting headlines because of so much other stuff, because of criminal liars in front of Congress lying to Congress or whatever they were doing.
So basically, the bottom line is some American citizens, along with some Haitians, were apprehended in a modified armored vehicle in Haiti. It was lacking license plates. They arrested in the Port-au-Prince. There were 5 Americans, 2 Serbians.
Yeah, Serbians.
And I think 1 or 2 Haitians. And they got hit up at a police checkpoint, and they, didn't have license plates, and they were like trying to, claim that they were conducting their business at the behest of the government.
Some government.
Yeah. And then they were like, my boss is going to call your boss. So, okay, 2 things. The contracting career field is very limited. All right, like every swinging dick coming out of, like pick a random core these days, or branch, like all of a sudden, fashions himself like a merc.
You get some 511s, they get some Oakleys,
and then he teams up with, like you see some Americans teamed up with Serbians, you're like, okay, here we go, like already like suspect, and then you're like, that these guys have watched way too many like Hollywood movies. First one that comes to mind is oh damn it.
Well, it doesn't come to mind.
Tom Cruise, played the dude. There's 2 movies.
You lost me, dude.
Sorry,
right.
God.
But I want to hit on something there. So they worked for a company. I think they said the company name. I was really afraid it was going to be a company that we both know and kind of support, but it wasn't. But that kind of caught my attention. What kind of stands out to me, Toby, on this is, I mean, have things either have gotten better in Haiti to the point where they're enforcing traffic laws and not having lights? I didn't think Haiti was there yet. Like, I thought Haiti was still like, if it's 4 wheels and can roll down the road, we don't care what age you are. You can drive whatever you want. But obviously things are improving to the point where they're enforcing basic traffic laws. 2, whether they are or not, if you're hauling around half an armory in your vehicle and don't have your stuff on together and on the up and up, it's probably best to even steal a couple license plates, make a couple on the back of an MRE carton and a crayon, whatever it takes. But, don't ride around making yourself, ready to be pulled. It's like I watch that show, and if you ever watch it, Toby, Live PD. Love me some Live PD on Friday.
Yeah, they've been here local lately.
Oh yeah, love me some Live PD. What always gets me on that is so many people they pull over that have suspended licenses, mostly warrants, or almost all of them have a little bit of weed in the car, are usually driving without license plates, headlights out, lights not work. I mean, they give given obvious suspicion, probable cause to get pulled over. And it's like, if you're going to be doing that stuff, if you have warrants out, if you have, half an 8-ball of Coke in the back seat, you should probably be trying to drive like a freaking driving instructor. And I kind of thought about the same thing about these guys. Like, you're driving around Haiti with all these guns, no reason to do it and have them, and you've got no license plates on your vehicle. You're asking for trouble.
Yeah, no, like, so let's just break it down real fast. And the movie I was thinking about was Jack Reacher. Like, my boss is going to call your boss and it's going to solve this problem.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Rob, the unpaid producer, hit you on that. He got that. We should.
Oh, did it?
Yes.
But,
that's why we pay him good money.
He's the man. I love the producer. So we had Chris Oman and Chris McKinley, 2 Navy SEALs, Kent Croker, a Marine Corps pilot, Talon, that's right, Talon Burton.
That's a cool name. That's pretty high speed.
An MP.
And then 89th MP Brigade, Fort Hood, Texas. Was it
well, probably the gangster unit. And then another guy by the name of Dustin Port, who's the president of a business headquartered in Louisiana called the Patriot Group Services Incorporated. So, like, here we go, Merc work.
Somebody went online to a company in Delaware and got that incorporation done quick.
Like, like
Patriot Group Services. That sounds good.
No, like, so we got two SEALs, a Marine Corps pilot, and we look at the ages. So we got 44, 49, 52, 52, 42.
A whole bunch of dudes retired sitting around drinking beer going, let's start a company.
Right. No, like, straight up. Like, this is children at home, listen. If you're young and you're
here's our PSA for the week.
Yeah, like, don't do drugs. Don't start a contracting company and take what could be a contract in Haiti that is suspect. Now, like, like some consular is like, really, guys? Because they cried as soon as they got arrested. They're like, my boss is going to call your boss, which is code word for call the consulate and maybe they'll help us out.
We're Americans.
Yeah. Don't leave us like the guy in Mexico.
Learn from Benghazi. Please don't leave us. You got to come rescue us out of that freaking hell of Haiti.
But, like, sometimes you just got to let go. I was talking to a really real high speed guy that retired about 2 months ago. And he's like, man, Toby, I'm just trying to adjust to life of being a former action guy. And, I'm like, it's all right, bro. You got a lot of life to look forward to, and it's okay to be a former action guy.
Yeah.
Like, you can do something else in your life, and there's more to you, especially if you served at that level. Like, you got 2 Navy SEALs. I'm sure you picked up a couple of skills there that don't make you sound like Liam Neeson. And for the record, Navy SEALs don't sound like Liam Neeson. 3, you got a pilot in there. I'm sure you can find something to fly, that can at least make a couple $. I bet crop dusting pays better.
He could have been a rotary pilot.
Pays better than, like, hitting Haiti up.
He could be a rotary pilot. He could be flying dudes back and forth to the oil rigs in the Gulf. He could be a fixed wing pilot, flying for regional airline. Yeah.
Yeah. The military police officer, good chance that if he's in his 50s, he came out from being an MP, and then say he did 20 years as an MP, he could have done another 10 to 15, with another PD, collect another retirement.
Hey, Harris County, Texas, down in Houston will take you in a heartbeat. They'll take people anytime they can get them. Them boys is they got a hard life down there.
Always hiring. Like, don't do drugs. Don't go to Haiti trying to rob banks, because, like, that's what it looks like.
Yep.
It's like, we're and if you're gonna start a Merc company, come on, don't go with a name like Patriot. Like, come on, show a little more creativity, because, like, all you're doing is, like, fueling.
You're putting a big spotlight on your. Right, you probably got some cool shirts made. A Punisher logo is part of your company.
Oh, I bet you that. I bet you they monoed all the lobby in the room.
Yeah,
and there is a Punisher skull involved, and
somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere. But so, like, I wanted to make fun of them because they deserve it. And then the next.
We could be wrong. They could be on the up and up working for one of our agencies doing something down there. But if so, the agency probably should have been a little bit more selective, because I'm not sure they picked the best ones.
If they are working for one of our agencies, and we know you're listening,
because you're all fans of the show.
Yeah. In our tens of followers, they need to do better. There's better recruits out there.
Rob, the unpaid producer, has a great suggestion. They should have named it the Clinton Foundation, and they would have let him just rob it blind. Nice one, Rob. That's another reason why we pay you the top dollar.
Man,
classic.
that was a solid one. All right, the next thing, let's talk about Korea real fast, and by real fast, let's give it the respect that it deserves. Um, the boss, the commander in chief, to many people in America, has been getting after it.
Yep.
Now, you know, I I think what he's doing is pretty strong. And then leaving the table and saying, "Hey, like here's the options." And I guess the intent of North Korea is to kind of get the American presence out of South Korea. That's on the table. That's a
And get sanctions lifted. I think they
and,
want to quit
yeah,
starving.
and get some like sanctions lifted. His criteria for this denuclearization, and like if you want to play that hand, like you understand, like you don't have any leverage,
Right.
and like well, a lot of people don't understand is like the U.S. and the South Korean forces are doing exercises right now, time now, and they have been through this entire thing. And a lot of people are like, "Well, that's maverick, that's brazen, that's risky." No, it's not. It's like that's how you actually virtue signal. You don't get behind a keyboard and like type something and like manipulate a picture and signal virtue that way. No, you do it by like conducting exercises where your enemy can see you or your opposition can see you and understand that like we got the whip.
Right. We're right here. We're letting you know. We're letting you know that we know.
Yeah, we got the whip. And if you want it cracked, like misbehave. We're talking to you out of courtesy. We're talking to you out of respect for humanity. Because that's what it's really about, right? This is about respecting human life, treasuring, nurturing human life, treating it more than the push of a button, treating it as what it should be. The awesome weight of human life weighs heavy on the crown of the world leader. It weighs heavy. And, whether you like the guy or not, it has nothing to do with him. It has to do with the position. It has to do with the office. It has to do with what was inherited when the hand was raised and the words were spoken. And that's what's demanded of that position is to negotiate peace, but he's doing it from a position of power.
Right.
No successful or very few successful people have ever negotiated from a position of weakness. Every now and then some poker players have bluffed their way from a position of weakness. But when it comes to diplomacy, very few people have been able to successfully negotiate themselves from a position of weakness. Now, people have allowed people in a position of weakness to achieve a better outcome than they deserve, and that's been North Korea's history. North Korea's like threatened and bullied people, and previous administrations on both sides have, kowtowed to that family, have like let them get away with things that they shouldn't have gotten away with, right, and let their position of weakness, speak in a way that it should not have spoken or carried a stick that was too heavy for its meek, like unfed hand to carry. And the position of the president now is to like do it right. And the guy is. But I find it interesting that that's not as interesting to the media as some weird congressional testimony here that I'm not even sure validates being congressional testimony.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, I don't think it does. There's enough other stuff that's going on, but it, the timing of it was just, they talk about the president. There's been talks about the president was juvenile or immature. For example, when Nancy Pelosi wouldn't let him come to the State of the Union, so he pulled her plane and said, you can fly commercial if you're that worried about security or that worried about, the government running and people working and stuff. And people could say that, but how do you not look at that? And if you look at that and you had that opinion on that event, how could you not look at what happened yesterday and say the same thing? It's like, really, he's meeting with, without a doubt, unequivocally, everyone would be in agree, the most, ruthless dictator in our time, in our era, running one of the most repressive regimes, and people absolutely suffering and being tortured and so on and so forth. That a year or two ago was, we were thinking was going to start throwing nukes at Guam and Hawaii. He's meeting with them for the second time like we've ever met with these people since the war ended. Trying to get an update on from the first meeting, see if we can negotiate all that stuff. And the Dems scheduled it. They couldn't have waited till they could have kept. Today they did another private one in front of the House, closed door. They could have did that one yesterday. They could have did the public one today or whatever, or just slipped it a couple days. That's not like anything else in DC doesn't get delayed. But they held it on the same day. How can you not look at that and say it's just as juvenile if you suspected the first incident was juvenile and done like, nanny nanny boo boo kind of thing?
No, it's exactly what it looks like, and that's the embarrassing thing. I have the good fortune as well as the bad fortune to have the majority of my family not live in the United States. So I get this very interesting lens of what they think of how we act. And, while a lot of them have this, very opinionated view of Trump because of how the media is covering him internationally as well as domestically, even they can see the irony of the priorities of the press in America.
Yeah.
And it's, the priorities of the press are to give people platforms to act the fool these days.
Yeah.
And, whether it doesn't matter what channel it is. I'll even make fun of Sean Hannity, because Sean Hannity's, over in Vietnam trying to cover, the story. And, he gets in his car, and his car doesn't, move very fast because he's in a country that, has, or in a city that has millions and millions and millions of people stacked on top of each other, and he's like, I even left with an hour plus, to get there. And he only had 3 miles to go. And, he gets in a car to ride 3 miles an hour and a half early, and he ends up riding on a scooter, and that makes his highlight reel. This is how oppressive it is over here. Sean, that's not oppressive. And you look like a jackass because if you really wanted to cover it, you'd take off them loafers and you'd put on a comfortable pair of shoes and you would just walk there.
Right.
Get to see the people, figure out, what it is you're actually reporting on. But let's make this about us, not about the story about what we're covering. And that seems to be, all of this. It's really about the newscaster.
It's the Acosta model, right? It's about me.
Yeah. It's all about me. It's not about the story. It's not about the truth. It's not about being objective anymore. It's how do I, and no offense, it's, I think Tommy Lauren's a wonderful example of this. Tommy Lauren, the only, not to sound sexist, but, she built herself up because, an opinion and giving editorial and about being her. And there's, Rachel Maddow, it doesn't matter where you go.
Right.
And
there's a crossing of line between journalists and the opinion, pontificator,
Yeah.
Which Hannity, for example, he's an editorialist, right?
Well, 100%. Yeah.
Right. And there's a few others many others that are that way. And then there's those that are journalists that are just reading you the news, right?
Right. But we have a story that we've talked about countless times on the show that is probably the most underrated news story and historical happenings of our lifetime, and that is, you know, peace in the Korean Peninsula.
Yep.
I mean, it's so big, it's so huge. You and I both served there. We've seen the people, we've seen the rock drops. We understand that there's an imminent and real threat. We've both been there when North has made incursions into the South. You know, like, this is as real as it gets, but it's been like reduced down to political banter, and people don't realize the actual brevity of what's going on. And it's all reduced down to tweets. And it's all reduced down to like, hey, look at me. And like, the president is doing an amazing job over there, doing something pretty impressive. But even he like screws it up by like, making a partisan attack at a Vietnam veteran, or allegedly, Vietnam, Vietnam veteran. But it's like, yo, bro, why you got to light yourself up like that? Because everyone knows you didn't go.
Oh, Blumenthal? Yeah.
Yeah, like,
he could have left that. You're right. He could have left that alone. There was enough else to deal with over there.
Yeah,
he could have focused on the task at hand. The guy, Blumenthal's not a threat. He's not a voice in the thing. There's enough others that are taking shots at him. He could have spent his time on. But yeah, it's a that's just a fly seat of the moment. Spur of the moment, seat of the pants kind of thing. It seems to be that happens sometimes for them, but yeah, I agree. You take away from the impactfulness of what that was about. And today, of course, what was the big news we woke up to this morning? That the negotiations have fallen through. I mean, my son wasn't even on a bus yet, and I was getting the news alerts. Right, of course, it was middle of the day over there, and it was like, they came out, hey, we're not even doing a joint message. That's it. I'm getting on my plane. He's getting on his train. We're all going home. Which when I saw that, I'm like, oh, how's this going to be taken, right? Because the last time he went over there, he had the first meeting. It was very, the first time we've ever had a meeting with him. It was groundbreaking. And it was still kind of like he was, depending on which what news channel you watch, it was, it was either, he did great things. He met with them. This is a first step, or it was, well, he didn't get enough. He got played for a fool, or he shouldn't have met with them at all, which I don't get at all, right? You should always be trying to meet with these guys. Even if you hate them, you should try to meet with them. You're not going to work anything out unless you talk. But so when I saw that this morning, I was like, oh, they're going to jump on this. Like, it failed. He's not the great negotiator. He didn't write the art of the deal. But is not part of the wheeling and dealing is sometimes you walk away. That sends a message. And without knowing what's inside his head or being inside the room, Toby, I got to say, I think part of the message it sent was, I can fly halfway around the world, but hey, just like I got up and walked out of the room with Nancy and Chuck when they said they wouldn't give me $1, I said, well, there's nothing to talk about. Did he not just do the same thing? I flew halfway around the world. Oh, you want us to lift our sanctions? No. You want all the... No, we're done here.
Not today.
Yeah. Which I think speaks volumes. It's like, oh, well, come on. We came all this way. Let's figure it out. Let's make it work. Like, no. Oh, you're not... it's not my way or the highway. It's you're asking for something that's absolutely a non-starter. Then we're done. There's nothing else to talk about. Don't waste my time. Right? I can appreciate that. That's why I like dealing with people. That's the way I am sometimes. So, but, we'll see how it's taken. Sorry, go ahead.
So the other thing I really wanted to talk about, because I think it's kind of slipped under the radar. A U.S. district judge has ruled that an all-male draft is unconstitutional. So, like, currently, as it stands, only males on their 18th birthday or shortly after their 18th birthday are required to register for the selective service. And in a failure to, register for the selective service, comes with a myriad of penalties.
Right.
But now that, combat jobs are not exclusive to males, when females can now enjoy combat, MOSs, should we not change the draft? And this judge has ruled it, and it's really interesting. And as a father to girls, I find it scary. The idea, the premise, that the draft could potentially be changed. Now, obviously we've gone to an all volunteer force, but the selective service has, still remained so that this happens. And it's getting zero press. And one of the things that I find really curious about it getting like hardly any press is the fact that, this is something that impacts 50% of the population in the country. And yet, like, nobody is addressing it.
Yeah, it was kind of a back page blip the other day, right?
Yeah.
Timing was bad. You got a time when you're going to do some news breaking around here. It's got to be when there's nothing else going on, right?
But is there a time to break that? Like,
Yeah.
I think like that's just one of those inconvenient things that people don't want to like talk about.
Well, they've been
no
talking
matter
about
what
it
the
for
time.
they've been talking about it for a while, ever since they said, hey, all branches, all jobs, all MOSs are open up to females. I mean, a lot of people in our circles I know were like, oh, then selective service needs to be opened up, right? With
Oh, yeah.
goose
No,
and gander and all that good stuff. So, yeah, I mean, it's like, why, you want to be equal, want everything on the up and up and all that stuff, then you get everything,
Well, and that's why I'm so surprised that it's lack of coverage is.
Yeah. But
You would think that there'd be people championing like this judge's ruling that's saying like, and here we go, like
I'd be
here's
surprised how many
the
people
one,
even
the
know
one
that.
institutional barrier to equality, like the one institutional barrier that hasn't been lifted, that hasn't been changed, that's still there, the wall, if you will, of
Gender separation,
equality.
Yeah,
It is this selective service.
I think most people
And
probably
you
don't even know
think
that's still
people
a
would
thing.
be like championing it but yet, it's not even a blip. Like people aren't.
I don't think most people knew it's still going on. To be honest, I don't think that. I mean, I don't think most people even realize because the threat of a draft is really not in anyone's mind. I mean, no one ever sees that anymore. No one thinks that. That's.
Well, everyone thinks we're going to war.
Well, everyone thinks we're going to war, but it's yeah. But I mean, I don't think people fear that there's going to be a draft. I don't think that's why. I think that's why it's not in the public landscape, and the fact that people aren't always worried about that happening. So it's like, there's a selective service, really? Oh, okay. You mean women don't sign up for it? I mean, I bet you people look how ignorant our society is to just everything. I mean, you look at all the man on the street interviews. I mean, just look how disconnected people are from even knowing basic, U.S. Policy or what people are saying or who are in positions of leadership. People don't even know that. They don't know the damn geography. You can't even ask people what capitals of states are. Where states are at, people half the country don't even know. Right? They're so self-absorbed. So it doesn't surprise me if people aren't paying attention to this because it doesn't affect them. They don't care. I mean,
but it does.
It affects their kids. That's
yeah.
it. Right. And people probably think, hey, I don't have to sign up. I don't know. I guess people still do. I mean, of course, I was 18 when I did it, so and joined, so it didn't matter. So,
yeah.
But I guess
no, like if you, you can't have any kind of, government job.
Yeah.
If you're not registered, there's like a myriad of, punishments if you fail to register, even with it being a symbolic registry.
Right. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, my youngest will be doing it in a year or so. So his will be coming up. He'll have to do it. So I think about it. But yeah. So no, it is a good point though. You brought that up. Is it's in the military community, it's kind of a thing, but outside of that, and even not all of the military community, I don't think would even pay attention to it. Something I want to ask you about though, something else real quick, Toby, that's in the news. I've seen a few blips on it. I'm not that tuned in. I just haven't had a chance to dive into it, but you may be. Is the whole Trudeau thing going on up in Canada? It seems to be he's losing a lot of favor or something, or is there something? I mean, there's talks of like he's on his way out, that he's going to get thrown out or something. He's not doing anything illegal, I don't think. He's just is his popularity really that far down or something?
Well,
Justin Trudeau?
as some would say, the honeymoon is over.
Ah.
And you know, like there's a little bit of a scandal up there.
Oh, there is.
There's a little bit of scandal, and yeah, it's probably going to affect, you know, the the election a little bit. But you know, so basically, uh, he used his power or influence as prime minister to have his justice minister, which is like a cabinet minister, you know, like DOJ, right, the attorney general, to drop prosecution of a engineering and construction firm. So a big international global company, probably someone that, you know, provided some kind of campaign favor, right, or campaign contribution, and, you know, as a, hey, I owe you one. So he like repeatedly, not one time, but like repeatedly used his influence as a superior to a subordinate, as the Prime Minister of Canada to a cabinet minister.
Oh, it's true. Like, it's a true scandal. Then it's not just popularity. It's not just his policies aren't taking hold or aren't helping or he isn't meeting his promises.
Yeah, no, I mean he's 50-50 on that. But the I mean, this is truly like if hypothetically, purely hypothetically, a president went to the attorney general and said, "Hey, I think it'd be in your best interest to not investigate another cabinet minister on something."
Right.
Like, now,
undue influence, the kind of stuff President Trump has been accused of a number of times.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Like absolutely. Comey.
Right.
You know, like.
Right. And now,
yeah.
And now you got Netanyahu's coming up on bribery charges. I mean, you got all these leaders that are getting brought up on real charges, supposedly.
I'm unfamiliar with the Netanyahu one.
Yeah, that just came out today. His attorney general is filed that he's going to bring him up on bribery charges. So
that's a strong statement.
Yeah.
That's strong.
And he's running for election right now, running for re-election, and of course they're saying it's politics. It's not. There's nothing there. He's doing it just to throw off the election and stuff. So I guess the lesson here is, boys and girls, politics, the ugliness of it, or corrupt people and the ugliness of that, whether one way or the other in any of these cases, isn't limited just to the great United States of America. Right? It's possible anywhere.
No.
Whether it's true, corruption obviously is possible all over the place, or it's or just making false accusations to skew results or opinion, or, you know, the court of public opinion and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I was just wondering. I'd seen some stuff. I wasn't sure if it was a real scandal up there in Canada or not.
No, it's interesting because, you know, it is a real scandal. It's a real thing that's happening, and, you know, the election, people are going to think about that, you know, and it's interesting how it all has come to fruition.
I wonder where.
So we'll see how it all plays out.
The security in Canada, of course, they've had a few terrorist attacks. They've had some street shootings and things like that happening. A couple of attacks, terrorist type attacks in the country. I wonder if that's making a big play or if that's already becoming forgotten. Because there were some, you know, over the last year or so. Toronto was a big one.
Yeah, there's been several, you know, terrorist attacks or terrorism inspired attacks. You know, some, you know, on the streets, some in, like, you know, you had the halls of Parliament attacked a few years ago. That was ISIS inspired attack. So it's really interesting. The Canadian law enforcement is really, you know, second to none. And you can make fun of Mounties all you want, but they have a federal police force that's highly professional, that's exceptionally well trained. The vetting system is just unreal, and to become and be part of that force really takes, you know, the creme de la creme of what Canada has. And as a result, they hold it down. And, you know, they are very forward thinking, they're very entrepreneurial, and they're very good at utilizing technologies and opportunities put in front of them. So it's not just a couple of guys on a dog sled chasing, a drunken trapper through the snow.
Could be
But they
one every once in a while, but not all the time.
but they get that guy when they do
They
chase him.
do, they do get him.
And so it's unfortunate. Canada has pretty intense border security. A lot of people are talking about, the wall. They're talking about all this stuff. I think Canada's got a pretty good border security program going, especially looking at the number of, the amount of manpower that they have to guard it, and how they effectively utilize natural barriers, man-made barriers, and intelligence, as well as electronic stuff. And people always make fun, like, oh, well, you don't need one up there. It's like, yeah, that shows how uninformed you are.
Yeah.
There's amazing technology and people doing hard work up there, because like that's a honest and real threat. But we'll see how it plays out. And, until then, watch out for the Mounties, because they always get their man, to include everyone doing a DUI.
Yes, don't get a DUI in the U.S. and think you're going to go to visit Canada. They are not going to let you in. They get 7 years DUI. You are not going to get across that border. The U.S. shares that information with them. So, yeah, we brought that up before. When all these musicians and actors and stuff all say they're going to, when president was going to be elected, and they're all going to run off to Canada if it happened. And then, of course, yeah, I remember you on one of our shows. You were like, "Why does everyone think that thing just like Canada's going to take everyone with open arms?" Like, sure, come on in. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
It's not how it works. They are selective, and you better have a reason for coming up there, and your stay is going to be limited depending on what your reason is. But it's funny how it's part of that just American ignorance that everyone here thinks that anyone can just go to Canada that wants to go. They'll just take you with open arms and welcome you in. But we'll see. So there was a few conscious objectors I remember during the kick up of the Iraq War that thought they were going to run up there and got turned away. got turned away, including some females.
Yeah, and the best part about that is like Canada's like, no, Iraq's a step too far for us. We're just gonna stick with Afghanistan. We'll continue to support you there. We're not gonna get involved in Iraq. People are like, oh, awesome, I'm gonna go to Canada. They're like, just because we said we weren't gonna go doesn't mean you don't have.
That's right. It's just, we're not sending our people, but you can, if you don't belong here, we don't feel bad for you, right?
Yeah.
You want to run away, but yeah.
So I shouldn't be laughing at their
ignorance
at their expense, but it's to be true.
Yeah.
It's too good to be true.
So we get near the top of the hour.
No.
Anything else you wanted to cover? Anything else you want to hit on now that you're back?
Today's Amplify Austin, which is a wonderful campaign that's by a conglomeration of nonprofits in the greater Austin area, where there's a huge fund, and then all the nonprofits that are part of this coalition get together. They have an event. It's today only. Well, correction, from 6 p.m. today to 6 p.m. tomorrow. It's called Amplify Austin, and everyone that raises funds through amplifyatx.org, they get doubled. And if you do a hashtag love Tito's puts a little bonus money on top of it, because everyone knows Tito's vodka's from the great ATX.
Yeah, that it is.
So I have to leave right now because Veteran Outdoors is having a fundraiser at Mesquite Creek Outfitters for Amplify Austin.
Why wouldn't they be? Yes, absolutely. Well, awesome. That's where we got our VO hats on. Remember when you don't know this, Toby knows. So remember Toby and let everyone know. So I will not be here next week. I am going to be on the left coast, and we'll be out there. And I don't know, maybe I might do some videos. Maybe I'll do some stuff up on the IG or on the Facebook. I usually like doing stuff on the IG. So I won't be in studio, but Toby will be holding down the fort with somebody, I'm sure.
Yeah, and anybody and everybody's welcome.
That's right.
We might have a party up in here. The producer's always welcome, and
that's right.
We'll have a good old time. We'll have some folks on.
A bottle of brown water get you in the door. Just gonna say.
Even a half. Even a half will get you in.
But all right. Well, Toby, great having you back, brother. Thank you, everybody, for joining us or for allowing us to come into your homes and ears tonight and coming online with us. And the chats were great. We got to a few of them. You guys keep us laughing all the time, and we like the comments. But Toby, thank you so much, and we'll see you next week. Everyone, have a great night and a great rest of your week, and we will talk to you all later. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Stu and the Nunn Radio. We hope you enjoyed your time with us because we have enjoyed sharing our time with you. Be sure to check out stewandthenunn.com in addition to asking us questions and interacting with us on our Facebook page and Twitter. We look forward to seeing you next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern here on Spreaker and Facebook Live. Also, we'd like to thank our sponsors, Warrior Media Solutions, PoohHammer.com, Veteran Outdoors, Graybeard Publishing, and Mighty Oaks Warrior Foundation. Don't forget to like our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter. Thank you again, and have a good night.